Hello, this is Jerry Jenkins. In this video we're going to walk you through installing Ubuntu 17 into VirtualBox on a Macintosh with a modern Retina display. These are the topics we're going to cover here, and if you look at the video description you'll see links to each specific topic if you want to jump to a particular part of the video. Also see the description of the video for links to an article about this. And also comment if the video is out of date with specifics, and I will try to update the video for you. Thank you. Okay, our next step is to download Ubuntu. So we're just going to go Ubuntu, search Google, go right here to the main website. We want the newest version, which is 17.10, and go ahead and click on the download for the desktop. We want the desktop one. And down here we want to click on download. And you can donate to Ubuntu, but we just want to say continue the download, and that'll start your download. So you can check your downloads folder and it should appear there. So you can see it's downloading here. It may take a while depending on your internet speed and how busy Ubuntu is. So the next step, we're going to use that disk image in VirtualBox and set up a virtual environment. Okay, now we're going to download and install VirtualBox. So we go to virtualbox.org, click on the big download button, and then choose the platform, which is going to be OS X for Macintosh. It's going to start downloading. We want to open it when we're done. Okay, and so we just double click here and hit continue, and install, and then install, and we're ready. So we're going to move the disk image to the trash, close it, and we'll go to applications, find VirtualBox, open up. Now I have some pre-installed images that you'll see here, and normally you would see details, and you would see no images here, and you might get a little welcome screen. But the next part of the video will show you how to create a new image, which will be this new button. Okay, I'm going to go to Spotlight and find our newly installed VirtualBox and open it up. We're now going to install Ubuntu into VirtualBox. I have several images already installed. You won't see these, but you just hit New. You give it a name, so I'm going to call it Ubuntu 17. And then you want to choose the type as Linux, and the version, make sure it says Ubuntu 64-bit. Hit Continue. I recommend you do the memory at least 4 gigs. The minimum is 2 gigs. 4 gigs will let it run faster. If you have more memory installed, this is the total installed, you can give it more. So you have to split between your Mac operations, how much speed do you want those to have in memory, and how much you want Ubuntu, which will be running at the same time. This, you're just going to accept the defaults for here, and here, and here. Dynamically allocated means it's going to expand to fill the disk, so it's initially going to take a smaller size and expand up to a limit, which we're now going to set. Hit Continue, and you're going to set this limit here. The minimum they recommend for the version 17 is 25 gigabytes. I'm going to change this to 35. Which is plenty big for a lot of Unix. Okay, now it says it's powered off. So what it's going to do next is we're going to power it on, and you want to have the download for Ubuntu 17 available on your hard drive on your Mac. So first you double click. Since it's the first time you run it, it asks where is the optical drive or a simulation of that for using to install Ubuntu. So you hit the little folder, and then you go to your downloads folder and click on what you downloaded Ubuntu, which should end in .iso. Hit open and hit start. And now it's going to start up the image in this little window. And I'll zoom in on my video so you can see it. Ignore this bug. Now as we go through these videos, I'll speed them up for you. Okay, when we get to this screen. So I'm going to go through these steps and do my recommended settings. You can always read the instructions and change those if you wish. But first we're actually going to do an install, so I'm going to do install Ubuntu. And then this saves us time. Later this will install updates as it installs, so I'm going to check that, hit continue. We have a new disk, so this is the correct option. The other options, if you want some kind of encryption, or if you want a more modern type of disk format. So those are options. So now it's popped up and says, do you want to write changes to the disk? And you just say continue. It's telling us it's going to do 2 partitions on the disk. Now this is the virtual disk that we're talking about, not your it's not changing your original Mac disk except for the allocation of area that we've set for the virtual image. This is just to set your time zone, so if it didn't set it right, you can just select a different one. This is your keyboard layout, so we're just going to accept the default. Here it doesn't fit, so we're going to stretch this window out and hit continue. Then this is, you fill in the initial account on your virtual computer. And give it a name, so we're going to call it Ubuntu 17. Pick a username. And then this password, you want to make up something you can remember. Remember, you're logging in to a virtual environment that's already on your Mac that's secured, so if you wish you can do a simpler password than you normally would. If you expose your virtual environment to the internet, you maybe want to be more careful. So and then what I do is I normally say log in automatically. Since I'm on my Mac, I don't want it to ask for my password just to start up Ubuntu. So I'm going to make up a password and hit continue. Now this is going to be a long process, so I'm going to speed it up in the video, but it's going to copy all the files and set up your image, so we have to wait quite a while here. Okay, we're now complete. You'll see a button to restart your computer. This is not going to restart your Mac, it's going to restart the virtual image. Go ahead and click restart now. And this will take a little time. Now when you get this message, the installation medium has already been removed by VirtualBox, so just hit enter. Okay, now we're up in Ubuntu. The first thing you'll notice is the display flashes quite a bit. Let's open up the browser. See how the display is flashing. So this is really annoying. It's a bug at this level. So we're going to show you a few things that may change later if they update the software. This flashing is one of them. They may fix, and it's either a problem with Ubuntu or one of the software that's in Ubuntu. But we found a fix for you now. Is what you want to do is go up to the power button. Click on it, go to where your name is of your account that you set up, click on it, and choose log out. And we're going to then say log out. Give it a little time. And then it's going to have you log back in, so you click on your name. And now, before you put in the password, go to this little gear. And normally it runs on what's called Ubuntu Wayland, which is the underlying software that runs the Windows environment in Ubuntu. We're going to switch to Xorg, and this will fix the flashing. So click on that, and then put in your password. and click on Sign In. So we won't have the kind of flashing we had before. We may have some very minor flashing once in a while, but that should solve that. So our next step, we're going to do some common settings that I like to do in Ubuntu. So what you want to do is this button here shows you all your applications. And you can look and scroll through this, but I'm just going to do a search and look for settings. And you don't have to type the whole word. I typed SE and settings shows up at this first one. So I can just click on it. So since we're running on a computer that's already has an operating system, there's a couple of settings I like to change. So one is under power. I don't want it to go to a blank screen after 5 minutes, so I'm going to pull this down, and then you'll have to scroll and find never. Set that. Okay, and then under privacy, we don't want to lock the screen after a certain amount of time, so we're going to turn off the automatic screen lock. And then we can close settings. And you might get this message as you're going, so you can go ahead and ask it to install updates. So I'm going to hit install now. So next we're going to install what are called the guest editions. Right now you can go to your Mac out here and click, and you can open up a program and you can do some editing. So for example, I can open up my text editor I normally use. And I can do some editing in here. I have a little program I was writing in Python, and I can select something and copy it, but when I go to the Ubuntu image, it won't have that clipboard to paste in. So Guest Edition allows you to share the clipboard between your Mac and your Ubuntu that's running. So that makes the Ubuntu image more like just another running program on your computer that you can interact with from your Mac programs. The other thing you can do is share your disk drive, so you can access and save files from Ubuntu, and they will show up to any program that you have on your Mac. So we're going to do that, but first we have to go out to our Mac, and we're going to go to the browser. And in the browser, we want to go to a very specific location which has a list of all the versions of VirtualBox. So we're going to go to download.virtualbox.org/virtualbox. So it looks like that. And I'll put this link on the description of the video. So you go ahead and go there. And we're doing this because the current guest editions, if you install it according to the VirtualBox directions, bombs in Ubuntu. So we're going to have to do some preparation for installing it and get this image. So the current version of VirtualBox is 5.2.0. So this is what we would install if we followed the VirtualBox instructions. We're going to install the previous version. Now this may change in the future. They may come up with a fix for this. So if you find that these instructions have changed, please put a comment on my video and I'll update it. So click on this. We want to find the VirtualBox editions. So right here it says VBox Guest Editions 5.13 ISO. That's what we want. So click this, download it to your downloads folder. So when that's done downloading, we're going to switch to our image, and then we're going to mount that disk. Now the easiest way to mount the disk, you can go to Devices, Optical Drives, and choose a disk image. But you also, let me point out all these little icons down here at the bottom of this window. So there's an icon that shows your simulated hard drive, and this is your simulated CD-ROM player. So what you want to do is click on this and choose disk image. And then we're going to go into downloads and pick the guest editions 5.13, hit open. Now this is mounting it into Ubuntu. It's going to see it has a runnable program. It'll give you this dialog. Just hit run. And you have to put in your password. And then when it gets to where it says return to close this window, go ahead and hit enter. And we now have the guest editions installed. Power it down. So you hit the power button, and then you hit the power button here, and then you say power off. Now back in VirtualBox, you have our image selected, and you click on Settings. And then under Advanced, we want to say I want to share the clipboard both directions bidirectionally. And then we under let's see, shared folders, you want to pick a folder you want to share. So what you do is you click the little plus, add a new shared folder, and you want to pull this down and choose Other, and it'll bring up a dialog box for your Mac system. I like to share my home folder, but you can choose what you want, and that whole folder will be shared to access from your VirtualBox Ubuntu image. And then you want to automatically mount it so it automatically shows up when you start Ubuntu. Hit OK. And hit OK. And then we can restart by just double clicking here. And we will now have the shared folders in the Ubuntu edition running. Okay, we're back up. And it says there's a new guest editions available. So you want to make sure you skip this until you know they have a new version that's working. So don't respond to that. So our next step is, this is optional, but when I work in Ubuntu, I like to use full screen. Now the trick is, if you look down here left, the command button on your Mac has a special assignment in that it allows you to do commands that are affecting the VirtualBox and not just Ubuntu. And so it's special commands that have to do with VirtualBox. And one of them is changing the window size. You can change the window size by just dragging it. But you can go to full screen by doing Command F. And it tells you that when you do this, you can get back by doing the host key, which is Command F, the command button, plus F again. So we're going to go ahead and hit Switch. And it takes the full screen. And this is nice, and you could be quite happy with this. So to get back from full screen, you use the same host button, which is a command key, and so you do Command F, and it'll switch back. So that's the end of basically installing Ubuntu and getting it into VirtualBox. We're going to do the next part in a separate video, which will be how do you then make the fonts really clear on a high definition screen like a Retina display. So look forward to that video link at the end of this one.